Joining us now on the KSL Sports Zone is Michigan defensive coordinator Jay Hill. Jay, good morning. You're on with PK and Riley Jensen. Appreciate your time.
PK, Riley, what's up, guys?
Yeah. Well, obviously, you're a busy man, so we'll get right to it. Here's the way it works. In the beginning of December, I got word that there might be a decent chance Jay Hill would be the BYU head football coach if Kalani went to Penn State. And by the end of the month, well, that didn't happen. He is the Michigan coordinator. Wow, what a whirlwind month, man. And as you look back, how crazy was it for you?
Well, Decembers are always crazy for coaches. Now, because you got the portal, and also that's such a time for coaching hires and jobs and interviews, and it's such a crazy month. And this one was crazy just with everything going on. And there were other opportunities than the ones you just mentioned. So that's what's crazy is every year Kalani's going to get schools that want him to leave. There were those opportunities for assistant coaches every year. It's a weird month for us.
A few years ago, score was 38-31. You walk off the field from a tough rivalry loss to Snow College. And I'm just wondering if every once in a while you think to yourself, man, I learned a lot of resiliency by losing a tough rivalry game to Riley Jensen. Do you think that's had any influence on you coaching at Michigan?
Did that really happen?
It may not have. Maybe I'm just dreaming.
I don't know if I remember it. I do remember this. Riley was an absolute baller in college.
Oh,
a baller. So,
that's not what I was looking for.
Yeah, my first taste of him was my first year at Rick's College. So
no. In all seriousness, In all seriousness, I've had a chance to watch you all the way through your career. I did lose a rivalry game to you when you were at the University of Utah. You've been a tremendous coach at BYU and Utah, but one of the places that I really got to watch you and where I really just gained a ton of respect for you was at Weber State. And I can't remember specifically whether it was a Montana game or a Montana State game, but I was interviewing you at halftime, and I've never seen anybody so calm and basically just tell me, like, hey, we're going to make this change and this change. And you kind of looked at me with that little grin that you have sometimes, and you were like, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And you came out, and it was just masterful how you made halftime adjustments. And I think it's one of the things that you are so good at. And I saw you do it at BYU. Now you're going to be taking it to Michigan. What is it that makes you feel so confident about obviously you put a game plan in to stop from the beginning of the game, but I think you're just masterful at halftime adjustments. How do you do that? What is the process of that as a defensive coordinator?
Well, most of the time in the first half, you've seen the offense do what their main game plan is for you. Mm-hmm. So if you can go in and just tweak and change some of the stuff that you feel like you got to combat it, then that's the idea of halftime adjustments. The other thing is just being able to go into the locker room and look the guys in the eyes and say, okay, here's what we just faced. Here's what's going to happen in the second half. I think that's a critical component to just good coaching is being able to look those guys in the eyes and know what they need. If a coach goes in there freaking out or they're panicked or they looked worried, then that's going to carry on to the players. You've got to go in there with extreme confidence that you know what's happening, you know what's going to happen, and rally the troops such that you can play in the second half the way you got to play to win.
You look at this football schedule this year, it's wow, this is incredible. You know, Oklahoma's a non-conference game, Penn State, Oregon, Indiana, and obviously the rivalry game to end the season. When you're coaching in a conference, now with the transfer portal, it has changed a fair amount in terms of the changeover from year to year, but there are some familiarities with these teams that you play from one year to the next. And with the big conferences, you don't play the same teams like it used to back when you were coaching earlier and then when you were a player. But I'm wondering, how do you get familiar with all these teams that you haven't faced as a coordinator and you've got to know them inside and out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've spent the last couple months studying our first two opponents, and then I've spent a ton of time studying Ohio State, and then I spent a lot of time studying Iowa because they're the first Big Ten opponent.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't want to get too far ahead of it because, offenses change from year to year. Coordinators get their flavors of the year, flavor of the game. And you just don't want to get too far ahead of yourself thinking that you're going to study everybody because things do change and coaches change and players change. So that's where I put my focus. Ohio State, because we got to win that game. Iowa, because it's the first Big Ten game, and then the first two opponents because we got to get off to a good start. Other coaches could be different, but that's what I do.
You spent over a decade on Kyle Whittingham's staff, and then obviously you were the head coach at BYU, transitioned to BYU, made them one of the top defenses in the country over the past 3 years. If you think back on your career and on those transitions, what core defensive philosophy has traveled with you through every stop? And is there anything that you've had to change at Michigan, either as far as philosophy goes or personnel?
Well, that's a good question. I watched Kyle when I was a player and a young coach call this defense. I watched Gary Anderson call it. I watched Kalani call it. Everybody puts their own flavor and flair on it. I got to call it at Weber State. And one thing that was cool about that is I could try new things, and it might not work. And you know what? Probably nobody knew. And Weber State was so amazing for me because I could really pinpoint and hone in on what I wanted to become as a play caller, as a head coach, as just an assistant coach. I just had so much growth and development. So going back to the question, I believe you got to be able to stop the run. No matter what the offensive scheme is, because they're all different, you got to be able to stop the run. I believe in man coverage when you can do it. Now, I'm not just going to force man just to force it, but I do believe in man coverage because it makes quarterbacks throw tight windows. And if you do it properly with good technique, everybody should be covered. Beyond that, I believe in keeping quarterbacks on their toes and not knowing what's going on in the secondary. So I think we do a good job with disguises. And then I want to keep them on their toes by not knowing if we're in man or cover 2 or cover 3 or whether we're blitzing. So we tried to do a good job of disguising, a good job of mixing it up. So if you're asking me like what I believe in, keep quarterbacks guessing on what's going on, make sure you can play some man coverage, and you got to do things to stop the run.
Jay Hill joining us, Michigan defensive coordinator right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We've often heard, and Urban Meyer talked about this a lot when he was here, is that the ones in a lot of different places, the talent is there, but at some of these places that aren't quite, quote, as big as others, that it is the backups where they suffer. Now, I heard Kyle talk about Michigan, and he felt like you guys had some obviously great talent, but that you're maybe a little light in the depth, particularly at the secondary. Could you speak to the depth as far as coaching at Michigan and what you see some of the differences are?
Well, there's a couple things that happened here is when everything went down with Coach Moore, a lot of the players went in the portal because of the experience or whatever had happened, and it was the portal window time. And then when we got hired, your main job is to try to get your players that you want to stay out of the portal and back here at Michigan. So some of the depth things he might be talking about were when we first got here, you're fighting the portal. We believe that we'll get here and recruit at an elite level as good as anyone in the country, and we will not be dealing with depth issues for very long. But I can say this, across the country, nobody has the depth, even at the highest level, that they used to have. Like back 10 years ago when Nick Saban was at Alabama, his threes could probably beat most teams' ones. And they never left because you weren't getting more money somewhere else, or why would you leave to go somewhere that wasn't winning as much? And so Nick Saban and some of those teams back then just were loaded, ones, twos, threes. Their depth was unbelievable. But now it's harder for teams to keep your depth because someone who's sitting as a backup at say, in Alabama, going back to Nick Saban, if you're at Alabama, you're a backup, you might be able to leave somewhere and make $300,000 or $400,000 more by going somewhere else and being a starter.
Right.
And so that's what's created an issue with depth is money. It's harder to keep your backups because they can go somewhere else to be a starter and make starter money.
Is there any difference? I mean, we know that there's expectations. You're at a major blue blood school now. Is there any difference coaching at Michigan compared to Utah, to BYU? Is there any adjustment there, or are you just focused on the same fundamentals that you've always focused on, or does anything change when you're at Michigan?
Well, is there a difference? Yes. Does the process change? Absolutely not. At Utah and BYU, you were playing high caliber, big time football that those guys can go into any stadium in the country and win. And they've proven that, both programs. So I don't think the process changes. Now, when you're at Michigan, you're going to play Ohio State and you're going to have 100 million viewers. I mean, that's different. Mm-hmm. So there are things that are different. There are expectations that outside people, the media, and everybody else put on programs like Michigan. But, I mean, the fans at BYU and Utah, do they expect to win every game? Absolutely. Do the coaches go into every game expecting to win? Absolutely. It doesn't matter who we play. We're going in with the game plan and the process and the thought that we're going to win. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't change from place to place.
What's it like just living there? You've lived so long in Utah, and now you're in Ann Arbor. I assume you've been able to shoot par at Barton Hills Country Club and all that, but I'm just wondering, what's it like to live there?
You know what? Michigan has amazing people. I'd never been much in the Midwest. Amazing people, hardworking, very respectful. Ann Arbor is amazing because it's a very educated city. So much of it revolves around the university, but I've been super happy with the people. I've been elated with the program and the resources and the pride that the people take in Michigan, and not just in Michigan, but nationwide. I mean, our alumni base and fan base is amazing. So there's been so many cool things that this place has and represents, and really it starts with the people, great people.
And then I assume you got the membership at Barton Hills?
I don't have a membership there.
Well, then Kyle better take you.
The thing about golfing.
Yes, golf.
I wish I was a good golfer, but we really get to play about 1 or 2 months out of the year. So we never get our golf games completely greased up.
Well, I saw you that one time at the teed off. You were showing off at Ogden Country Club when we went up there to broadcast when you were at Weber. And you crushed one right down the middle.
Yeah, he's good.
And you didn't even have time to warm up.
You're downplaying this.
I know he is. He's sandbagging the people of Michigan right now.
No, I wish I got to play more, but as a coach, you just never will get that opportunity to play as much as you would like to.
Hey, so you're sitting after a big win at Lehigh High School with Bart Brockbank and Cole Cooper. And you guys are like really excited about a win. And then you get to the end of the season, you guys end up going and playing college football at different places and you go different directions. And I know you guys are all still good friends. Is coaching at Michigan something you always thought you were going to do? Or is this something that's just evolved as you've coached at, different places? You're like, oh, this could be a possibility. This could be a possibility. And then it just keeps growing on itself. Or was this the plan from day one?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say this was the plan. When I started as a graduate assistant, I wasn't necessarily planning to be a coach. But as as I was coaching through those first 2 years, I was like, I love it. I love it so much. I love the relationships. I love the intensity of it. I love the game days. And then, you know, if you're a competitor, if you're going to do it, you want to do it at the highest level.
Right.
And so there were moments when I was at the University of Utah and I wanted to be a head coach. And so I took the Weaver job. And then I got aching for being back in the big stadiums and the atmospheres. And I went to BYU, and the place was amazing and wonderful. And they treated me so well. And being with Kalani again, just everything was so great. And then opportunities come where luckily I've had success, and I've been able to choose between some good opportunities. But I've always felt like and I say we because the staffs at BYU and Utah, there are coaches there that can coach anywhere in the world. I mean, there are elite coaches on both those staffs. And I felt like if the opportunity came up at the right spot, then I would be willing to leave. But it would have had to have been a right spot, like a Michigan.
And there you are. And we'll be watching, Coach. It's going to be real interesting to see everybody because there's so many Utah connections. We've now got another local team we got to follow, the University of Michigan. It's kind of funny the way it played out. So we'll be following it. And just like everybody else, I'll love you as long as you beat Ohio State.
Well, I love that. And just so you know, the fans are the same way here. If you beat Ohio State, they pretty much love you. The one thing I'm looking forward to, and I can't wait for this, I can't wait to watch the BYU-Utah game. I can't wait to watch how Coach Scally does at Utah, Coach Swan on defense, and like Coach Papinga on defense at BYU. There's so much fun stuff happening in both those programs at BYU. I can't wait, or in Utah. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to watch both of them be successful. And now I'm in a spot where I can cheer for them both, which I love. So.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Jay, we appreciate you giving us some time this morning.
Okay, guys. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Take care.
That is Jay Hill. Riley Jensen setting it up with his connections. He's known so many coaches in the state for many, many years and actually competed against them when he was quarterback at Snow and maybe Utah State a little bit there.
Yep.
So that's Jay Hill, now the defensive coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines. It's an incredible thing to say. And I like how he downplays it. Some coaches, you know, everybody's got to have an ego, Riley. But how do players receive it when coaches just deflect? And Kyle did that for so many years. You know, how'd you build a program? His go-to answer is it's all about the players. And as a former player, is that what you want to hear?
Well, like we were talking about with Steve Sarkisian yesterday, if it's authentic, and it is with Jay. Right,
they can sniff it out.
Yeah, you can sniff it out. You hear that crap, and then they come and they're ripping you or moving the goalposts on you. But yeah, you care about the players.
Because he's out there talking about how you have to, how lucky he was to be in situations to be successful. He's part of the reason why the situations that he was in, if not a significant reason, were successful.
I think the cool thing about Jay, though, is as good as he is, I think he does understand that there is some luck and fortune to the timing of things that happen to you. I don't think that takes away from your hard work ethic and all the things that you put into it. But, you know, when I was growing up, I used to watch John Elway on TV with my dad. Uh-huh. And he's like, hey, just so you know, Riley, for every John Elway in the league, there's two more that were just as good that didn't make it. I'm like, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. You are crazy as you can be. And then as I've grown up and as I've played college football and as I've seen certain guys and certain coaches and different things happen, there is some fortune every once in a while too. And it's not even guys that like mess it up. It's just like some guys get in the right line at the right place at the right time and everything aligns. And it doesn't take away from how good these other quarterbacks were that maybe didn't make it. It just means that they were in the wrong line at the wrong time and somehow it didn't work out the way it was supposed to. And so for somebody like Jay to recognize that I mean, he even just said it in the interview about how many good coaches there are that could coach anywhere in the world on the two staffs at BYU. He really believes that.
Yeah,
That's not
right.
something that he's just throwing out there.
Right.
And he feels very fortunate and very blessed. And I think that's why it's so easy to cheer for a guy like Jay.
Yeah, no question.
He's just and when he deflects, like he even deflected on his golf game. I mean, he can flat out mash the ball in golf.
I've seen it.
You know? When I was at Weber, when he was at Weber, I'm still at Weber. I'd come walking up right by the volleyball building to go talk to the volleyball team, and he's in one of the most competitive pickleball games that you can even imagine with like three other guys on the staff because they have these little pickleball courts by the volleyball. And I'm like, dude is flat out competing at 40. He's 51. He's a year younger than me, and he's flat out competing over a pickleball game, and it was like must see lunchtime behavior for Weber State football staff. Like they played pickleball every day in the spring at 12 to like 1:30, and it was hardcore. And it's just how he is, and the players love him because he's authentic. Jay's authentic. We talked about that yesterday. He's real to who he is.
All right, there you go. Coming up next, we'll get some Riley's insight on some quarterbacks, particularly one going into his second year at BYU. Stay with us next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
We all have routines. I'm Jabron, and with diabetes, mine was finger sticks. Sometimes I skip them because they hurt. The Freestyle Libre 3CGM changed that. It gives me glucose insights without finger sticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us.
Finger sticks are required if your glucose alarms or readings do not match symptoms, or when you see check blood glucose symbol for the first 12 hours. The views expressed should not be used for medical diagnosis or treatment as a substitute for professional medical advice. Individual circumstances may vary. For prescription only. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.